Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, you don't suppress your desires because you have bad desires. No, you don't do that. Because there's also great and good desires. So if you decide to suppress the desires altogether, I mean, what are you going to do with the good desires? Because your emotions are very valuable. A lot of your transformation, in fact, your true mind is your heart. Until you have this transformation here, or this emotion somehow changing or elevate, you're not going to change. Do you see how those two got to work together? You know what I'm saying? So, and we are also, us being a living mind, it's all emotional. We are emotional, intelligent beings. And that's the whole idea of ma'at, the yin and the yin, the masculine and the feminine, the visible with the invisible. I mean, it's the higher self with the lower self. I mean, it's just all of it. It has to come together. Now, when we talking about, or when I'm talking about being emotionally balanced, now going back to being emotionally balanced. So at first, I wanted you to see how important it is for those two to come together. And the minute or the second, you become a little more intellect, then you become very rigid because you don't have the emotions because your emotions, when you add emotions to your intellect, it expand it a little bit. It allows it to see, like, it's like logic always, you know what I'm saying, 1 plus 2. I mean, the emotion now allows you to pretty much acknowledge the small things, the things that are right in front of you, but you didn't quite see it. And a little bit of emotion goes a long way, baby. And that's what you saw when they brought the prostitute over to Jesus and asked him, "Do you want us to stone that bitch? What the fuck? What's up, nigga?" he said, "Well, you know what? A little bit of emotion, nigga. I'm not saying she's right, but if there's any of you to stone a bitch because she's using her pussy, when you're not even fucking right yourself, come on, man." That's the little bit of emotion in it to help you to reflect, to see the small things. You don't want to become Judge Dredd out here. You know what I'm saying? You're reading people's rights. You don't give a fuck. The law's the law. Now, motherfucker, relax. The law is there to serve you. The law cannot be above you. Never ever. Anyway, I mean, isn't that why we have the laws in the first place? To serve you. But anyway, I digress. That's a whole other conversation in itself. But I guess, I guess it just needed to be said. But anyway, now that we have handled that part, and also we talked about how not being emotionally balanced can influence your thinking, and another way too to also look at it, you know how sometimes you say, "Yo, dude, like, bro, like you were very emotional." So you're also implying that you didn't see it, you know what I'm saying, from a brother perspective because your emotions has taken over you. In other words, you're like, I know for me, I would tell you, you have to learn how to become emotionally intelligent. But making a long story short, going back to the whole conversation, though you got to become in alignment. Those two have to come together. And the reason why I call this world a mental institution and a lot of people are insane, that's because they're not in alignment, they're not fully healed, they're not complete. A lot of us, it's either we tend to be more on that side, the intellect side, or be on that side. And that's the conflict. And when you're looking at it from that perspective, that's what we called in the occult, you eating from the tree of good and evil. That's when now we say you living in a dualistic reality. But you don't look at it as a polarity, meaning not understanding that there are your emotions and your mental got to become one. In fact, the person that you are, which is the polarity, those are your different side. And that's why the masculine have to become with the feminine, or that's why good and bad, like it's all over us. That whole polarity shit. And that's what the Kabbalion teach you, which I strongly recommend. Just so you understand the mental, so you have the mental understanding of the universe. And that mental understanding is now you could see polarity everywhere because that's part of the universe. It's part of you, it's in you, it's all around you. And that's what made you created at God's image because you are that reflection. You reflect nature, nature reflects you. In fact, when we're talking about metaphysics, that's what metaphysics is. It's the same principles that applies in physics, in nature, they also applies in your life. For instance, we all have to reap what we sow, nigga. Just like in nature, if you plant, let's just say some tomatoes, you're not going to get watermelon. You should try. Let me know. You know what I'm saying? Same. If you're not doing anything, for you to elevate your consciousness, then you already know you're doing the opposite. And part of being conscious, pretty much, or to attain your highest level of consciousness, it's you becoming that great farmer. Now you are aware of what you're planting. Now you are planting your own seeds. You are watering your garden. You know what I'm saying? Watch what you plant, soldier, because you may have to dig it later. And in fact, not even may have, you will have to dig it later. And that's what most people would say. We talk karma. Then you also realize there's a correspondence, there's a reflection of what we do that is being reflected to us one way or another, consciously or not. That's why you create your reality. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Going back to being emotionally balanced, what I mean by that, it's you to understand your emotions. Understand what emotions are, understand how your own emotional pattern works, and if you have any type of blockages, for you to acknowledge them and transmute them. That's what the shrink is helping you by, well, motherfucker, like, did you suck a big dick while you were a kid? Like, who jumped you? Who motherfucking raped you at night? No matter what it is, and that reaction you had towards that thing, now you had created a whole new events or reality out of that experience. Let's just say if you were raped or if you were bit, if you were bit by a dog, then now you create a reality where you avoiding, like, fuck dogs, dog. You understand what I'm saying? Like in Haiti, we have this saying. We do say if a cat falls into, let's just say, a pot of hot water, the next time it sees water, he wouldn't want to come near it because it got burned. But not knowing, this is where you have to understand. Well, shit, that water was hot. You have some cold water, dog. You know what I'm saying? And then now you might want to mix the hot and the cold. Now, you know what I'm saying? And listen, you know what I'm saying? That's when now you have to learn to master. That's when you should allow your pain to create your reality. That's when you need to have the greater understanding. And then now also you understand what you call matter. Now the whole idea of being an alchemist or to be a spiritualist, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's to understand these things about you. I mean, the things that you're going through. This is you having a positive outlook on negative bullshit. It doesn't mean you don't acknowledge. I mean, you do acknowledge the bullshit, but you translate it by making it work for you. But I'm saying all of that to say, being emotionally balanced is it's not to raise your voice or to fake around. You know what I'm saying? Or you don't say certain words. You articulate. Congratulations, nigga. You know what I'm saying? But sorry to say, it got nothing to do with nothing. It sounds good. It's impressive, depending on who's listening. You know what I'm saying? But I would rather hear, exactly the content of what you're saying. Anyway,